You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming in at 195 pounds from Studio A, he is the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the Ring of Thunder, Sexy Thor! What's up, Thunderverse? As much as I would like to say that I'm recording this not from Studio D, not from Studio A, but from Studio ATL, it's not the case. But I'm literally back in Studio D after I got home from Atlanta and unpacked. Because yes, DragonCon finally happened, and now DragonCon is over. So, but it was nice that finally, after pretty much almost 2 years, a year and a half, depends on if you want to start this from the end of DragonCon 2019 or to the start of the whole global pandemic, that, you know, thinking every day about getting back to DragonCon, getting back to Atlanta and all that, and seeing all the stuff I want to see. Well, throughout 2021, it's been like little bits and pieces of, you know, shit returning. But this weekend, it felt like a return in a big way. And my goodness, I'm talking and recording all this with my eyes closed because I can almost bear to keep them open. So, yeah, we're here to talk some wrestling, so let's talk some wrestling. Not gonna lie, barely watched any wrestling on TV this week. However, I watched the major thing, which is All Out. But, oh yeah, my goodness, though, I gotta talk about Raw, though. Even though that's like the thing I like to talk about the least on here. But it was because I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna watch Raw. I'm getting real tired of that shit, and I'll just like maybe talk about it on the podcast and find out what's been going on in the internet later anyway. Well, sure enough, I did that, but then like come to find out all sorts of interesting things actually happened. Like there was a triple threat between Damian Priest, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre for the United States Championship. Fuck yes. You got Bobby Lashley and MVP taking on RK Bro now for the tag team titles. RK Bro retained. It was supposed to be Miz versus John Morrison, but I have no idea what happened there. And John Morrison ended up challenging Omos and getting destroyed there. So, and apparently Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax happened. And no sign of Alexa Bliss, even though the previous week she was like waving at Charlotte like she was going to be the next contender. So no idea what's going on there, but the match got a little awkward and it seemed like it turned into a shoot fight, and this was actually Charlotte and Nia not actually liking each other at all. So I don't know what happened there, but I don't know. It was a weird, interesting Raw. Oh, and Karrion Kross destroyed someone else. I don't even remember who. I want to say Ricochet, but that could have been the previous week, or maybe it was Humberto Carrillo. I don't fucking know. But anyways, Thursday started out with DragonCon Wrestling. Well, technically Thursday started out with us driving to Atlanta and parking, and it was my first time actually like driving myself. And yeah, even I'll admit that Atlanta traffic going into it is a little it's a little tense. I'll say that much. Then we got parked, got to the hotel. Then while everybody was resting up in the hotel, Myas immediately went out to go get my DragonCon badge, because you got to have a badge to enter the events. So yeah, the the line wrapped around like a couple blocks in a weird sort of way going into the Sheraton where registration and badge pickup is. And it took me about an hour and 15 minutes. And apparently I was sandwiched between a really good run time and a really bad run time because, like, Mark and Anthony, that being Anthony Arbiza, who's been on Thunder Talk quite a few times, finally got to meet him in person or talk to him, period, because like Anthony and I have never been in the same discussion on Thunder Talk before. Spoiler alert, little trade secret. Wonderful guy. But Mark and Anthony got their badges in like, I think maybe 40 minutes, if that. They did that Thursday morning. Then I went in middle of the afternoon. It took me like an hour and 15 minutes. And by the time I left, like Beth and Kavika were in line. And then everybody of my group went in line that night. And it was like 2.5 hours. So, whew. I knew I had the right idea of going in and getting my stuff then. But yeah, so I got the badge, went to the Peachtree Center food court, got myself a hero real quick, GYRO, and some of the best damn curly fries I've ever had personally. Like, oh man. And then I went right over to the Hyatt. That's where it was. Then waited in a line that wrapped around, and I was just like, fuck, I really hope I don't have to pee. Because, of course, gotta pee in just the worst spots. But nope, held it, and then went on in, got a pretty good seat. It was like third row, I'd say. And then the show itself started. And I stayed for the whole show this time, like I said I wanted to do. And I did it. So the show kicked off with DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, who is the only wrestling guest there, kicking off the show. And they were doing some sort of DragonCon Wrestling Hall of Fame induction thing. And look, I'm fairly new into that particular scene and group. There are a few names I know, which of course I'll mention by the way, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who most of these people were. It's not to say I didn't watch them and find them very talented, because I did. And for all of you, if you happen to be listening to this, you guys put on a wonderful show. But somebody who I did recognize from the 2 shows of Pro Wrestling Turbo that I've watched and been part of, Sean Legacy of the Buff and Fluff Connection was here at the show, and he played an elf who beat Santa Claus, aka Viral Outbreak Champion Wade Adams. And then there was some sort of multi-man match, which was called a Dragon's Cup Scramble, I guess maybe to become a contender. But somebody dressed as Mario, as in, it's me, Mario, took part, and so did Waluigi. And Waluigi was played by Michael Mosley, who I've said has been a staple of DragonCon Wrestling, who's also been a costume designer for Ring of Honor and I think WWE as well. And speaking of WWE, Michael Mosley had somebody in the corner wearing like yellow Mario gear. I don't know if that's like a specific character or anything. And they had half their face covered. And it turns out that person was Xavier Woods. Side note, I went to Tin Lizzie's with Dan, Beth, Kavika, and Anthony like Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. And I did not see Xavier Woods there like I did back in 2019. But the food was fucking banging though. That was the first time I'd ever been to a Tin Lizzie's, even though there used to be one like right next to the theater pretty much for several years. And then there was someone in a mask with a purple lightsaber. And sorry, Star Wars fans or deep Star Wars fans, I forgot the proper name of the saber. I should have consulted one of my Star Wars friends on it beforehand because I did hear the right name. But I'm pretty sure that guy was Ethan Case, who I saw for the first time 2 years ago at DragonCon Wrestling, who's been part of Pro Wrestling Turbo. And maybe Ethan Case had a match and somehow was actually able to use the saber as a weapon and pin them by putting the saber at their chest. So we were definitely running by saber rules, or force rules, or Jedi rules, whatever you want to call it. And then Crystal Rose defeated Trixie and a guy, sorry I don't know your name, to win the Dragon Cup Women's Championship. And I gotta note, Trixie is hella over with the crowd though. She's got like bright ass pink hair and has a bit of a dark clown vibe. Kind of hard to describe without just going the lazy LOL Harley Quinn description because it's not like a Harley thing. But she looks cool and good in the ring. So yeah, Trixie is awesome. Shout out Trixie. Again, I tried to learn everyone's names, but it's hard when there's not like a card in print I can read. Little known fact, I do enjoy reading. It's how I knew Pro Wrestling Turbo's matches and roster, just like that. The main event was for the Dragon's Cup, and it was between the babyface that Trixie is apparently a valet for, and the heel who's from South Carolina, apparently. And he disrespected the Falcons and then said, "Real men are Cowboys fans." Ah, 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 ah. But yeah, he's basically the biggest heel to this side of the Thunderverse. He tried some dirty tricks and nut shots, but got a taste of his own medicine when Trixie hit him in the balls when the ref's back was turned. I really got to be thinking about retiring Kick Butts Not Nuts. Pretty much at the end, the guy who said "Go Falcons" won, as well he should. But yeah, what a damn fine show, and I'm looking forward to next year where hopefully I'm more familiar with names and what have you and can better describe, just a wonderful and fun show. And maybe eventually, maybe from now till then, end up working with them in some capacity. That would be fantastic. And then Saturday morning, went to the DDP channel. I made it 45 minutes early in line. I skipped watching the parade to grab a chicken biscuit and got in line for the panel, which feels like some sort of cardinal sin at DragonCon. But if you don't know where wrestling is prioritized in my life, then you haven't been paying attention. While we were in line, DDP just walked by us to the ballroom, which is just nuts because you usually see guests come in through some super secret route. But no. Here was DDP right there. And what a terrific panel it was. Of course, he told lots of WCW and AWA stories and recounted when he had that one match on AEW a couple years ago. He's not under contract, but he'll do anything for Cody, who he considers his nephew. Apparently, he's still involved in AEW behind the scenes as his studio that did the resurrection of Jake the Snake on Amazon Prime. And Relentless also do the vignettes and stuff for AEW, so that was very cool to learn. Overall, I just came out of there feeling super positive and wanting to do more in life. If I can look and feel half as good at 63 as DDP is doing at that age, that sounds like a success to me. But of course, my ass just wants to feel and look just as good, if not better, because that's just me. And then a few hours later that afternoon, I went to the Plastic Empire booth that he's partnered up with and doing those signings later that afternoon. But apparently, he was already done for the rest of the con. Shit. That means I've just definitely got to meet Kane. I gotta meet Kane! And Ron Simmons at the one-day SC Comic-Con Junior, taking place in October, and go double. Double or nothing, if you will. Yeah, maybe I forced that in a little bit. And one more thing about the panel. He did something I've never seen a speaker do at a panel. When someone asked a question, DDP made sure what their name was, and then he had the whole audience say, "Hey, insert name here." I just thought that was really cool. So like they would be like, "Hey, David," or "Hey, AJ," something like that. So that was enough about my experience on the wrestling side of DragonCon. Was a very small track, but a lot of fun, and gave me plenty of time to see Atlanta, which is my other main mission for the weekend. Oh, and also Plastic Empire had some Funkos that are apparently autographed by, let me think, there was one by Charlotte Flair, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, and Steve Austin. I didn't see how much the Charlotte one was, but the Bret Hart one was like $75, I think. I think Kevin Nash was maybe $80, but the Stone Cold one was like $250. It's just like, jeez. But I did end up getting some stuff from the booth, or for some from some other vendors. I'll eventually take pictures of them and put them on the Ring of Thunder socials and my regular personal socials if you follow me and friends with me on that. But it's like this old school Steve Austin figure that's still in package and autographed, and it was only $10. So $10 retro toy that's autographed, or $250 Funko Pop that's autographed. I mean, I don't know. And then oh my goodness, I was about to go start on All Out. I was just like, oh wait, this is where we're doing the commercial break.
Time to grab your pillow and join the Geek Father and Little Bit for discussions on current, nostalgic, and speculative happenings in pop culture. Nerd news, fandom histories, deep dive discussions, reviews, and more. It's like listening to your closest friends have a nerdy conversation. So sit back, relax, and let the Blurred Nerds podcast embrace you with their warm, goofy goodness. It's Nerd Goals for your ear holes, right here on the ESO Network.
How did watchdog groups with no experience in television take a controlling interest on Saturday morning television?
When did Wonder Woman make her animated debut?
Want to know why there were two competing Ghostbuster shows?
How Atari changed the Saturday morning landscape?
How did networks compete over similar genres at the same time?
Find out all of this and more on the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast.
A proud member of the ESO Network.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
It's Amanda Bones.
And I'm Ashley.
Of How to Talk to Your Friend About Wrestling, the podcast on the Count Out Wrestling Podcast Network, a weekly show where we talk about all of our favorite things, babes, blood, and brutality.
We also talk about other fun things, like is Kenny Omega finally too tan? And how much blood is too much blood? Because that looks like way too much blood.
So join us on the adventure of teaching me, Amanda Bones, about wrestling.
Do you like podcasts?
Then you're gonna hate Thunder Talk.
Tasteless subject matter.
Mature humor.
Contempt for our co-hosts.
Unapologetic social views.
Edgy music.
And total irreverence for the nerd junk we love.
Are all reasons why
No one
should listen to Thunder Talk.
Find us on the ESO Network.
and all podcasting platforms.
Or don't.
Whatever.
And now we're on to All Out. Well, apparently there was still parties going on Sunday night at DragonCon. I was huddled up in our hotel room, had the laptop going, connected to the Wi-Fi. I logged on to Fight TV and still bought and watched All Out because wrestling never stops, and apparently neither do I. And start out with Miro defeating Eddie Kingston to retain the TNT Championship. And, of course, during that whole match, Miro had to sneak in a low blow, kicking the balls to Kingston, which is funny because Kingston had a shirt that is apparently one of his official ones now that says, "Redeem these nuts," because that's what Kingston told Miro to do on Dynamite this past week. And there's already a shirt for it. Go figure. Then Jon Moxley defeated Satoshi Kojima, who's made his way from Impact and doing a whole thing over at AEW. And then right afterwards, Minoru Suzuki came out and he traded blows with Moxley and hit him with a pile driver. Then Britt Baker defeated Chris Statlander to retain the AEW Women's Championship. And it was very interesting because Britt did the Pittsburgh Sunrise move, which is just like the Panama City Sunrise that her boyfriend Adam Cole does. And I mean, I can't profess to remember everything Britt's ever done in a match, but I don't recall seeing her do a Pittsburgh Sunrise. And considering, that is apparently now a move she shares with Adam Cole, you'd think I would have noticed that earlier, so if she had done it before, so, we shall see. And then the Lucha Brothers defeated the Young Bucks, if you can fucking believe it, in a steel cage to become the new AEW Tag Team Champions. And apparently the match between Pac and Andrade that was scheduled to take place on this card will be on this coming Friday's episode of Rampage. But yeah, what a brutal ass match though. Like, some people roll their eyes at the Young Bucks. It's just like, have they given us a shitty match though? No, it's been very, very entertaining. So all the respect to them. And then it was the Women's Battle Royale, which, different groups come according to the different, signs of the cards, like clubs and diamonds and hearts and all that. And we start with clubs, and it was Hikaru Shida, Sky Blue, who I've talked about before, and she's become an independent wrestler that I've become a fan of. And she's been on AEW Dark a couple times. And yeah, she was on Dark again this past week. And because Julia Hart couldn't compete in the Battle Royale for whatever reason, Tony Khan came out after her Dark match with, I think, Red Velvet and offered her this vacant spot in the Battle Royale. So here she was, and thought that was just an amazing opportunity. And I told Nick, I was like, I better see fucking Sky Blue is all elite graphic in the next 48 hours, damn it. But it's okay, because the people who did become all elite last night, yeah, it was awesome. But still, sign Sky Blue, damn it. But also remaining in that group of clubs, Emi Sakura, The Bunny, and Abaddon, who's got a fucking amazing 80s hair sort of thing going on now, and all the respect. And even if I didn't like it, I would still offer respect to it because it's Abaddon, and Abaddon will bite my face off. And then in the Diamonds group, the returning Anna Jay, who finally came back after months after injuring her shoulder some time ago. She came back to help her friend Ty Conti, who was feuding with the Bunny and Penelope Ford. Also in the group was Kylan King, Diamante's wife, ironically, or coincidentally, very nicely, either way, Kiera Hogan, who I guess is still missing her soul or something, because I'm still wondering where Su Yung dragged her over to. And Nyla Rose. In the Hearts group, it was Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, Riho, Jamie Hayter, and Big Swole. In Spades, it was Ty Conti, Red Velvet, Layla Hirsch, Jade Cargill, and Rebel. And the one person who drew the Joker card is the debuting Ruby Soho. And if you don't know, Ruby Soho is the formerly known as Ruby Riott of the Riot Squad, formerly my favorite women's tag team. That was unfortunately cut short because Vince fired or released Ruby in those budget cut bullshit stuff a few months back, and now Ruby's non-compete is up, and she is now Ruby Soho, and she is also now All Elite. And she's also the winner of the Women's Battle Royale, so here pretty soon we're going to get Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho, and yes, please, give me all of that. The next, Chris Jericho defeated MJF. Of course, last week or 2 weeks ago was MJF defeated Chris Jericho in that final labor, and then Jericho challenged him one more time at All Out and said that if he couldn't beat MJF, then he doesn't want to be wrestling anymore. He feels he doesn't deserve to be wrestling anymore. So Jericho and MJF went at it. Wardlow tried to get involved. That didn't work. And then MJF tried to hit Jericho with a Judas effect, and he successfully hit it. And then MJF had him for the pin, had one of his legs up, and then Aubrey Edwards counted 1. Aubrey Edwards counted 2. And then Chris Jericho's foot went up on the rope for a rope break, but she didn't see that, so she counted 3. So MJF thought he won and thought he officially ended the career of Chris Jericho. But another official, I think it was Paul Turner, came out and he was just like, no, Aubrey, Jericho's foot was on the rope before you counted to 3. And she was just like, really? And he was just like, yeah. And she was just like, okay. So she reversed the decision. They went back at it again. And then Jericho got MJF in the walls of Jericho. And MJF tapped out, and Jericho's career continues. Also, good for Jericho. He got who I think is his guitarist for Fozzy to come out and play him to the ring, playing their song Judas. So, I mean, hey, if you can put yourself in a position like that, you're doing something right. And then CM Punk defeated Darby Allin. And then Sting came out to have a face-to-face with Punk. And they're just like, yes, wrestle. And then they shook hands. Punk shook hands with Darby. And they went on their way. The next, Paul White defeated QT Marshall. And it was very quick. And then the main event, AEW World Champion Kenny Omega versus Impact World Champion Christian Cage. Can Christian win both of those belts now? Or is he just going to be Impact Champion? Well, he was very close. And they definitely went back and forth. And even the Good Brothers tried to interfere, but Christian beat them up and got back into it. But then when Christian went to do a frog splash, he leapt and was about to land it, but Kenny caught him, put him in a one-winged angel, and hit the 1, 2, 3. So Kenny Omega is still AEW World Champion. The Young Bucks came out, and they were like, yeah, we're going to beat you up now. And then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus came out. It was just like, hey, no, you're not going to beat up our friend Christian. And then they were about to get into it when And Kenny Omega was like, there is no one that can beat me that's here. They're either not here yet or they're dead. And then somebody's music hit, and it was the Adam Cole, baby. Yep, Adam Cole. The rumors are finally dead. Adam Cole has gone from NXT and is now All Elite. That is actually undisputed now. So, damn. And, you know, that's like, I know AEW's signed like a shitload of ex-WWE people and all that, but Adam Cole is the first major player who is on the other side of the fence to go from WWE, NXT specifically, over to AEW. I mean, I know Ty Conti, she was, you know, released from NXT and then signed over, but they used her basically as a jobber for some reason. And so this is like the first major star of the competing show of the Wednesday Night Wars to jump over. Like, it's some legit Scott Hall shit. Honestly, some legit Kevin Nash shit. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the same thing, even though, spoiler alert, you thought Adam Cole was going to be a good guy and face down Kenny Omega and the Elite for how they kicked him out of Bullet Club a few years ago. But then Adam Cole just ended up super kicking Jungle Boy in the face and was just all, yay, all buddies now. So Adam Cole is Elite, and that is undisputed. And then they're continuing to beat up on Christian and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy when a hip-hop version of Flight of the Valkyries started playing. And yes, that only mean one thing. Daniel Bryan is back. Nay, not Daniel Bryan. Motherfucking Bryan Danielson. The tribal chief just choked Daniel Bryan to death, and he's now resurrected back as his real name and the name he went by in the Indies and Ring of Honor in the non-WWE parts of wrestling, Bryan Danielson. It'd be interesting if he actually still calls himself the American Dragon, but I don't think anybody would have any grief with that. I mean, there is that one guy, but we don't listen to that one guy. And then, Bryan just chased them all off. So, yeah, we have Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson in fucking AEW now. And, of course, let us not forget, we still have CM Punk wrestling his first match in 7+ years. Woof. I mean, AEW just making those money moves, man. Now we just need to see like where the Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics, are going. Where the hell is Braun Strowman? And also, Bray Wyatt's non-compete ends at the end of October, so question mark? But yeah, so wild. AEW's on fire. SmackDown's on fire. NXT needs some help, and it's going to come in the form of, Samoa Joe and Johnny Gargano. And of course, the Index wedding is still happening on September 14th, so a week from tomorrow. Whew. Crazy times. And it's about to be spooky season coming up, so there's all that. But I don't have any multi-day trips or any weird things coming up, so maybe I can somehow eventually get back on my regularly scheduled wrestling watching habits. I don't know, but I feel like even with what little I did this past week, I managed to give you a full-ass, dope-ass episode. Also, apologies if the sound was a little for the TK interview, or the TK felt like just a round table chit chat, which was fine. was a great conversation, great content, but I tried to save as much of that sound as much as I could. And if you liked it and you're like, yeah, man, you did a good job on it, thank you, I appreciate you. If you didn't like it, well, sorry. That's just like, that's what happens when you're not recording in Studio A. Let me just put in my little quiet space over real quick. But anyway, that's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. I mean, kick butts and fuck, I don't know if you have to kick nuts too, I guess. I don't know. I'm not your mom, but whatever you're doing, make sure you're kicking its butt.
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Dr. Geek here with another reminder that the ESO Network is pro-science and pro-vaccine. We urge you to be a superhero and protect yourself, your family, and your fellow geeks around the world. Don't be fooled by the forces of evil and their anti-science misinformation campaign. Consult the latest CDC guidelines, your doctor, and get the COVID vaccine today.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.